How sweet it is to be loved by you nerds. What is up? It's me, your buddy pal HeyArcher. Welcome back to HeyArcher Live here on Nerd Affiliated. Hot Mess Express coming through as per usual. This is your weekly Thursday night nerdy talk show where we sit back and relax. I say we sit back and relax. And hopefully by now you've poured yourself just a little bit of,
more specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
as we cruise. I hate that this thing is on the other side. As we cruise into the weekend. Nice. Nice. Oof. Yeah, that's good. As Wiz would say, good kush. Good kush. Of course, like I said, this is your weekly Thursday night nerdy talk show. We got Boston Comic Con coming up this weekend. Making my return after probably 5 years, I'd say. Pretty excited for that. Of course, if you have a YouTube channel, podcast, blog, OnlyFans, newsletter, smoke signals, whatever it may be, put it in the chat. Support one another. Plug yo shit. I realize I've got to do a story post for this show, but it's fine. It's fine. I did a regular on the feed post, I'm pretty sure. But it's okay. It's okay. We will make it through. We'll make it through. It's going to be a fun one. We'll talk about Comic-Con, some other things. And of course, without further ado, we'll bring in the man, the myth, the legend. It is me. It is me. Yo soy el problema. It is me. Good to see all of you guys here today. Tony says he DM'd me. Let's see. Introducing Instagram map. Oh, there's a whole new thing here. What, by any chance, account of the many unfortunate accounts did you DM? Because I have too many. There's way too many on here. Of course, every time I switch, it's like notification. Try this new thing. Try this new thing. Try this new thing. Which one is it? So I can scroll and try to find it. Just let me know. Yeah. But yeah, Boston Comic Con is upon us. Is this weekend? On Facebook. I don't think I have discussed Boston Comic Con in a long time. Which Facebook account? Oh, there's too many. There's too many. You know, I blame. Oh, it's funny. I have so many here from like actual friends that I just never opened. Let's see. I'm gonna try. Here we go. Got it. Can I get that music too? Yes, of course. Oh, and the patch. Yeah, I told Dada Films I gotta set up the freaking PO box. I will do that. Tony, I will send that to you. Let me find a link for that and see. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in the chat here and see if you guys can actually click on it. Apologies in advance if you cannot click on it. Let me see. I think I can. I'll try to Facebook it to you. But yeah, I have not talked about Boston Comic Con in a long time because I just haven't been that interested in it in a long time. And Boston Comic Con also used to be at my. They moved it. They moved it from where it used to be to where I worked. So at that point, I was like, oh, I don't even have to like pay for tickets. I can just like I can just go. Or not even just go. I can just like watch it. So I did that for a long time. So we're making our return this year, and it'll be good. I'm trying. Which account was it again? Oh, the HeyArcher one. I'm trying to do it now because then I'll forget. I don't trust myself to remember. So let's see. Switching over. And yeah, I have too many accounts because of the algorithm. I blame the algorithm for everything. Let's try again. You can do this. You can do this. Messenger. Here we go. Okay. I think that worked. I think that worked. All right. I'm going to delete it out of here. Can I? I don't think I can. That's right. I'll do it later. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have a fun show tonight. Sorry, I just knew it. If I didn't do that right now, if I didn't get you the link right now, I was not gonna remember. And if some of you don't know what I was talking about, this week on the Gen X-Wing podcast, they were talking Real Nerd Busters, and Tony was in the chat. It was a fun episode. And they were talking about getting the real Ghostbuster soundtrack, or they were talking about the soundtrack. And then I said, oh, I have that soundtrack in my 80% pack. It actually might be in my full-size pack now. Well, I'll find out this weekend. I can't remember. So we were talking about the music, and I put it in my pack, and they're like, they wish they had that soundtrack because then they would put it in on their stuff. So I was like, I'll just send you guys the folder. So I sent them the folder that had the Ghostbuster cartoon soundtrack. So that's what Tony was referring to. And that's what I wanted to make sure I got out now before I forgot. Because like I said, I would have forgot. That's how I roll. And like I said, because of the algorithm, there's just too many Instagrams, too many Facebooks. It is a mess. It's not my fault. Just trying to appease the gods. But let's get the shameless plugs out the way. Of course, you have you do have the realnerdbusters.com, and then also nerdaffiliated.com. You one-stop shop for all things nerd affiliated, from links to the live shows to links to the most recent videos. You can join the Nerd Foundation and help keep us alive, pick up some merch, and even enjoy some sweet photography. Lots of good options on there. I have not worked on any kind of like fall line yet, so maybe I will. But if you want to get in contact with us in real time, apparently Facebook's not the way to go because I don't see it until it's too late. But I'm usually on Instagram. So if you're a Ghostbuster fan, you hit us up on the Real Nerd Busters, and you can also hit us up on Nerd Affiliated. I don't know. Are you guys what do you guys prefer for your social media app? Is it Instagram or is it Facebook? Is it Snapchat? Is it X? Is it Reddit? What do you guys prefer to scroll? Is it TikTok? I feel like they all serve, kind of like different needs. There's also different vibes I'm seeing on there. Sup, man collects. Good to see you. Did I say hi to everybody? I don't think I officially said hi to everybody. I'm sorry. Dave's Dimension in the house. Good to see you. Ultra Carta in the house. Good to see you. And then, like I said, Tony in the house. Then we had Man Collects jump in as well. Dave is back in. Craft Collects is in. There you go. Sorry. I'm slacking. But what I found, right? I was talking to Legacy of Nerd, I believe, and Threads came up as far as like making sure that you post everywhere. And I had never used Threads. I understood Threads to be Facebook's equivalent of X, and I stopped really using Twitter. Like right now, I use like the Nerd Affiliated Twitter just to like see what's happening on Twitter or X. but I don't really like actively post on it. I might like repost political memes or something, but I really don't use X like that anymore. So I wasn't really inclined to use Threads. But I was like, it's already connected to Meta. If I post on Instagram, it'll push automatically to Facebook, and therefore it can push automatically to Threads. So I might as well just use it. And even though I don't use Threads that often, Threads is definitely a different like vibe from X. And I somebody commented about that randomly, because what's cool too is like on Threads, my feed is mostly people I don't follow. It's almost like a TikTok in that sense, but it's just like posts, and it's like mostly text posts, not even like a lot of photos or anything. So I feel like the vibe over there for me on Threads is more almost like lighthearted in a sense, but I'm also not on like, I'm in my algorithm. So it feeds me what I guess would enjoy. So I thoroughly enjoy the Threads algorithm. But because I enjoy Instagram the most, I found myself scrolling Instagram and scrolling the different Instagram pages we have, because each one is a different algorithm. I scroll that more than I would scroll Threads, than I scroll Facebook. I don't really use Reddit. Like I'll sometimes post in the Ghostbuster Reddit. I was posting in the photography Reddit for a while. I was trying to post in the toy photography one, but I have Reddit because I feel like I have to have it. Same thing for Twitter. So, and I don't have Snapchat. Oh, we do have Discord, but I don't use Discord. I swore I was going to get better at Discord, and it just didn't happen. It did not happen. General Kenobi, good to see you. Steve in the house, good to see you. Trying to hide from Dean Cain. Yeah, let's go to our page. So shout out to Instagram. This meme I posted here of Triple H over at the White House. This one took off. 31,000 likes so far. It is probably around 800,000 views. And we got a huge bump in followers. We had last week about 800 followers, and we got up to 1,900. So cheers to all of you. If you're new, welcome. It's funny to see what goes like, not even viral, because I've only had, I think, 2 viral Instagram posts, that one and the Captain America one. But it's interesting to see what goes viral where, because the Triple H one on TikTok didn't really do that much. The Kimberly one did more on TikTok than it did on Instagram, and vice versa. And then the Dean Cain one, the Dean Cain video, did more views, I think, on Instagram, but I got more interactions on Threads. And then I think more views on TikTok, some stupid stuff like that. So it's almost like you're forced to post everywhere, because you just don't know what's going to do well where. Like where that audience is going to be that likes the content you made. It's not necessarily hard, because you're just copy pasting whatever you decide your caption is, but it's just annoying. It's really just annoying. That's the game we play. That is the game we play. Ultra Carter saying hi to everybody. Nice work on 1900. Thank you so much. Kenobi saying hi, and good job. Yeah. Good job to you, sir. You had an interview go live today, over on your channel. So make sure you guys check out the Mr. Steve interview that he just posted 4 hours ago here.
All right, let's do this. So, well, hello there, troopers. Hello. Welcome back to General Kenobi's Bunker. We are here at San Diego Comic-Con 2025. Hasbro Pulse Group with the man, the myth, the legend, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Doing good.
My voice is going.
And I wonder why. You've been talking to everybody.
A lot, man. Oh,
You've been talking.
Yeah, so make sure you guys check that one out. I'm going to mute it and let it play out so he gets that full view. And make sure you guys give that one a watch. It was a really good interview. A fun interview. A really fun one. And it's like right now I've seen numerous interviews with like the Ghostbuster team. I've seen a bunch with the Marvel Legends team. Mr. Steve now is part of the Marvel Legends team. Ryan Ting, I want to say was his name. He left, whether that was on his own or because of Hasbro doing their dubious things, I don't know. And there's also a guy, I don't remember his name. He's on the Star Wars team. And he was talking to Star Wars Theory in his SDCC vlog. The thing I love about Hasbro is like all the people that work there seem to be pretty cool. Like even there's the G.I. Joe classified guy. I want to say Lenny is his name. Also seems really cool. I've seen people give him some like kind of shit questions, like trying to put him in a corner, and he's like a gentleman straight through. Of course, Emily over on the Ghostbusters side and G.I. Joe side, Dan Yun. They're all like super fun. And it's weird because I feel like I only started toy collecting in 2020. So I feel like from 2021 to like 23, like Hasbro was like getting like the break speed off of them. They went with the windowless packaging. They had a price increase. We were still like not fully getting all the new stuff. And then when we were getting the new stuff, it was like, here's 1 million Eternal figures. Here's 1 million Lando figures. You know, like it was just things were like out of whack. And now all these companies are like doing crap because of the tariff stuff, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, but they are. But it seems like now those teams, those respective teams at Hasbro, even though like layoffs keep happening and they keep getting criticized online, they somehow, I think, have had an amazing 2024 into 25. I feel like the releases across all the lines have been pretty good. We lost that on the Power Ranger line, but I feel like Star Wars is starting to almost get a little bump. I'm not going to say full resurgence, but the whole like, hey, we're going to try this diorama type thing. I think that's really working. I said that kind of weird, didn't I? Type thing. The Star Wars diorama thing. It's different. It's new. And I think that I haven't been excited about Star Wars Black Series in forever. And they've had 2 releases now that I'm like, oh, those are dope. So I think once they get some retooling in, I might be back on Black Series. But Marvel Legends for the last year has been putting out some bangers. G.I. Joe Classified has been putting out some bangers. I don't even like want to, go all in on Classified, but they make it tough. HasLabs have all been pretty consistent. So shout out to them. And then, of course, the Ghostbuster team. I thought Ghostbusters was dead. I literally thought Ghostbusters, as far as Hasbro goes, was dead. And the HasLab ended up reaching, they gave us the freebie of why am I drawing a blank on his name right now? Rick Moranis, whatever his name was, Tully. They gave him that, even though it didn't back in time. They got they're like kind of their own version of like Vintage Collection is doing well. We got the re-release coming out of the Proton Pack. Like Hasbro's been doing good. And a lot of people have been putting out videos like kind of trashing them still. And I'm like, what is there to trash? They're dealing with a really crap hand. Really crap hand. And I don't know. If I can give an award for like most resilient, it will probably go to Hasbro. It would probably go to Hasbro. Because they got a smile on their face despite every day going to work, potentially about to get fired and laid off. Those new displays at Walmart and the re-release of some of the Spider-Man the Spider-Man carded figures, those are hot right now. So shout out to Hasbro and shout out to General Kenobi for doing that interview. It's a great one. Jen Kenobi's a star. I'm gonna need an autograph. Yeah, that's for sure. But Chris, Mr. 10K subs and climbing. That's true. Congratulations to the man collects. And Chris says Marvel Legends has been good. Got to give Hasbro props there. Yeah. And of all the lines, right? And this isn't like something I prepped for. So if I do get something wrong, let me know. But I'm pretty sure of all the lines, Marvel Legends is the only one that's like been doing retooling like consistently. We went to the pinless on almost everything now. When like 2 years ago we were complaining about pinless. They're the only company I know that's kind of like started to flip everything pinless. Hasbro's a company. But as far as a line, I feel like Marvel Legends, for the most part, with the exception of a couple redos, have been going pinless on everything. Retooling with new women body molds, the Sunfire body, as far as like being the standard buck for a lot of figures, is Dunzo. Now we're doing the Renew Your Vows body, and there's the new body they're kind of doing for Cyclops. Like, I feel like Marvel Legends is like killing it, all things considered. So yeah. Tony says, I wish Hasbro would put out Frozen Empire plasma figures. Who knows? You know, at this point, all they could do is keep buying their Ghostbuster stuff, and we'll see what happens. But it's, you know, for example, I was on Legacy of Nerds channel, at this point, 6 months ago. And we were talking about how Power Rangers is like kind of dead right now. And yet out of nowhere, I feel like because of the Mattel deal or the Playmates deal, Power Rangers like low key kind of like starting to bump up again. They're in, was it Fortnite now? They just dropped those skins. Got the new figures coming out. I was at Walmart the other day and some kid was like, oh, I want to get the Power Ranger figures. And I'm like, that kid was probably like 8. And he wanted the OG Power Ranger figures. So, you know, Playmates might be the one to get it back on track. So if Power Rangers can make a comeback with no new releases as far as like media goes, there's no reason why Ghostbusters can't. So all you can do is just buy the merch, buy the releases, and hopefully that's a sign for them to keep going. Ozzy Rules in the house. I believe your first time here, so welcome. Dave said the Ecto Glow figures are shipping next week. That's crazy. That's another thing. Of all the companies, Hasbro's the only one that, for the last couple of years, again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't really prep. I'm going off memory. For the last couple of years, Hasbro's been the only one that has had STCC exclusives that they're at the show, right? So you can buy them physically at the show. And then a week later or so, they go online. And when they go online, there's a limited run. It's a pretty big limited window for the most part, but there's a limited run of ones that are already made. So you buy them, and they're a decent amount of them are pretty much shipping right away. Not all of them, but a decent amount. I was thinking of remember when the Master Morpher came out a couple years ago? That thing shipped. It was instantly available. I can't think of anybody else that's doing that. So again, despite everything happening, Hasbro's still doing it. They dropped the ball on Frozen Empire. Third quarter fight against the Tariff Machine. Yep. Oh, it's Rainbow. Oh, there you go. Good to see you, Gracie. This is gonna be a problem. This will be a problem. It's already been a problem, and you know, what I hate that happens, and I mentioned this back in like April. You know, people, especially in the toy community, because that's the main circle we kind of all run in. Especially in the toy community, like a lot of people like to say, I want to keep politics out of the hobby. But this is one of those things where like you cannot do that, because price increases are part of what we talk about. We talk about price increases. On my channel here, we go a little bit further, and we tend to talk about like earnings and performance and stuff. But generally, we all, whether you're a toy hunter, whether you get all your stuff in the mail, price comes up all the time. And the tariff thing, you know, we said it back in April. There's a delay for everything. And one of the things that we were kind of hoping for was or some people were hoping for. Yes, there's a delay in things getting shipped, so they're holding back on shipping things. Maybe the tariff stuff would reverse, and then by the time we reach the fall, the stuff that was shipping in the summer to get here for fall would arrive to a different, tariff percentage, right? Not the case. It turns out it's not the case. If anything, some of them have gone up in percentage. So, right now it's all, sunshine and rainbows for the most part. When it comes to the toy prices, we've seen some bumps here and there. I told you guys last week for my Street Fighter figures, they told me that they arrived and unfortunately they'd have to be $2 more than what I said I was paying for them. I said, sure. But going forward, how long are these companies going to eat the cost? I don't know about you guys. I listen to a lot of freaking Yahoo Finance for hours every day. And on every single earnings call, especially like Walmart, Apple, all the big dogs, bigger than Hasbro, all of them have said, we've been eating a lot of these tariffs and it cannot continue. So unfortunately, I know that Valaverse, he was trying to eat a lot of them. I'm telling you, it's going to stop. I don't know what Ramen Toys was doing, but I think he was trying to eat some of that. That shit's going to stop. It's going to start creeping up. Super 7, I don't know what the F's going to happen with him. Couldn't tell you. They had no reveals this year. The Cold Slither reaction figures, I think. Godzilla repaints. Don't forget to leave your like on this awesome stream. I appreciate that. Dre in the house. Good to see you. Dave saying hi to Dave. You guys saying hi to each other. Dropping to show some love. I love that. Acknowledge me as your Master Chief. There you go. I love that. Can't wait to meet up Saturday. It was really sad to see how expensive some of the autographs were, to be honest. Yeah. So yeah, let's look at some Boston Comic Con. Technically, it's Fan Expo Boston, but AKA I will always call it Boston Comic Con. Let's take a look at that site. See what we got coming up there. So they're actually bigger. So you know what happens? I have these pads on my over here. Sorry, I have these pads over here that my wrist lean on, and they shift and sometimes get on the mouse. So I'll be trying to do something with my mouse, and it's you're not doing that, you're doing this. And it's ridiculous. I'm trying to move one of my screens down. What was I just talking about? Oh, that it's Fan Expo, but I will always call it Boston Comic Con. I was shocked when I opened the page because I hadn't really looked, and I saw people who were going, the celebrity guests, and I was surprised by this roster I saw here. That is pretty crazy. So of course the big dogs will be up here. You got Ewan, Hayden, and John Cena, and there's a 2-pack you could have bought for Ewan and Hayden, but I believe that one's sold out. So for Ewan, $250 for an 8x10, $300 to get other things signed, $250 for a photo, and they're doing the team up thing there. It's crazy. Then they had a panel going on at 7:30 in the main theater. So tough one. That's a tough one. Some of these, like I said, some of these prices I did it again. They're a bit rough. Even John Boyega, let's see, he is $100 for a photo. Would love to, but can't do it. However, I will go. I'm planning, if all things line up, to actually go to some panels. Sunday we have a John Boyega panel. You have a Tamora Morrison panel, and you got Manny Jacinto. I never say his name right. He's doing a panel, but his panel is going on at the same time as Giancarlo Esposito. And I'm thinking about going to the Giancarlo one, but I feel like Manny may not have as many people, so I might go to that instead. Jared's was 140. 140 for just the autograph. That's crazy. Helen Hunt randomly, she wants 105. That's such an odd number to say for your autograph. But Helen Hunt there. So they got some decent people going in this. I was surprised. I've just never been, I've said it before, I've never been a huge autograph person unless they're like a smaller quote unquote celebrity. And I'm like, oh yeah, like last person I paid for an autograph from was Rhode Island Comic Con, paid for the lady that played Hillary in Fresh Prince. Paid for her autograph. But it was probably in this price range actually of Rufio. I'd love to get Rufio's photo with him. 70's not bad. The Dudley boys will be there. Too Rich for My Blood. And what's RVD charging? He's charging 90. That's funny. But we had a couple good ones that canceled out. I actually wouldn't have minded getting an Ernie autograph or photo. Again, price depending. And then price depending on Christopher Lloyd. So let me catch up on the comments here. John Cena experience. How does that work? You can't see him. That's true. Maybe you could touch him. You're talking about you, and I'm assuming. Dang, that's pricey. Yep. It's cool that Borrega's doing more cons for sure. Yeah, I would love to get a picture with him too. I'm interested in his panel. I'm curious to see how much of it is actually not about Star Wars. I feel like with him, it's usually Star Wars or Attack the Block. And then there was another one that came out like 2 years ago. I don't really see people talk about it that much. So I'd be curious to see what that's about. LeBron in the house. You know, I was thinking about you the other day because I was like, I feel like I haven't seen LeBron in a super long time. But then you popped up in somebody's stream, and I was like, I'm glad that you're still doing a damn thing. It may have been Kenobi's stream. So I'm happy to see you. Can't wait to meet Jim Beaver and Alex Brightman. Theirs weren't too bad. What are they from? Oh, he's also Supernatural at 80. And who's the other one you said? Alex Brightman. Is that a voice person? So you got some really good ones on the voice side too. Did I miss them? Let me know. Let me know who they are. But yeah, they got some really good voice actors coming through as well. I don't remember the gaming one. Oh yeah, I do. I dig over here. So that's gonna be fun. They got a lot. And the way that they usually set it up, if it's similar to the last time I went, there's a long stretch of just the tables kind of like facing each other. So you can kind of just see like, all right, whose line is long now? Jump on that one. That one's not too bad. Jump over there. You know, you got some options. So that's going to be good. Then you have the comic creators. You got cosplayers. I'm excited for my friend Kenneth here. He's a mutual friend with Billy Nichols. So he's for the first time going to the con as a featured cosplayer. So I'm happy for him. We'll get him on camera as well this weekend. I actually don't know these other ones. I've been out of the cosplay game for a while. It's funny. I think I said that last time we were talking about the convention, but when I started going to the cons, it was before the YouTube channel was really going. It was more of just like doing cosplay on Facebook, and then I started posting some like cosplay videos, but I kind of slacked on that, even though I kept making stuff. And at that point, my algorithm was like cosplay. So like every time there was like cosplay celebrities going, I was like, oh, I know who that person is. I know this person, et cetera, et cetera. But nowadays I don't know the cosplayers that much. But it's funny. The first time I ever took my one friend Joel to a convention, there was what was it? I feel like it was like the cosplayer Nicole Marie Jane, maybe, was who he saw. And he was like, oh, like where, like what is she from? And I was like, oh, she's a cosplayer. And he was like, yeah, but like what is she from? Like what, like TV show or movie or something? And I was like, no, like she's not from anything. She just makes costumes and just like makes them look like quote unquote sexy. And he was like, he's like, wait, so like she just like takes a costume, makes it sexy, and then like people pay for an autograph? And I was like, yeah. He's like, wow. And mind you, this is like like OnlyFans being a thing. Like this is like 2016 is when I took him. 2015, 2016, something like that. This was before all that stuff was like a thing. In fact, I remember a lot of cosplayers making fun of people who joined that. And then all of a sudden they all started joining it when they saw the money. So it happens. It's a good round of people. Yep. Amazing group of people. Yep. Kurt Angle, AKA Peak Angle. It's funny how he does not want to be referred to as Perk Angle. But I'm like, dude, the highlight reel is unmatched when you were Perk Angle. Just embrace it. Hoping to also get Tophs from Avatar, Drifters from Destiny. Yeah. Man, he's showing up with a bag, man. Showing up with a bag. Pacific Rim. Actually, hang on one second. Opened up the vent so I can get some air. I forget about Pacific Rim. I don't think many people call that out as their John Boyega movie. So shout out to Dave's Dimension. I'll pull up Dave's channel in a little bit, actually, because he's got a con coming up. Is your con this weekend also? I know Kenobi's on his way to Rebel Scum Convention. I'd love to go to that at some point. Yeah, dude, I'm going to work 1 a.m. to 12. Wow. You're a beast. You're a beast. Dave, you had to mention that god-awful movie. I hate that movie so much. It makes Terminator Dark Fate look like a masterpiece. I think I watched Pacific Rim, the second one. I think I was on a plane when I watched it, or I was in an airport. That's a bad movie. You know, it was better than the first one because you actually got to see some of the kaiju fights. But the whole like linking of the brains to like drive a kaiju, I feel like that was unnecessary. Like you didn't need to put two pilots in a machine. Like just reverse all that stuff. Go back to one and, you know, do your thing. I feel like if that movie came out though, like I feel like if Pacific Rim came out around the new like Jurassic Park wave of things, it may have gotten a better push. It may have just kind of coasted through, like riding that wave. Maybe. Off tomorrow so you make the stream. Love that. Voices from Hunter. Is that what you're saying? HH. Did you have fun at Comic-Con? It's coming up. And Dave's is coming up on August 23rd. So let's go look at Dave's channel real quick. Pretty excited for what Dave has coming up. So Dave with the new logo, of course. Pick up your merch, tpublic.com. But he's doing a damn thing. So if you don't know, Dave is going to Fan Expo, I believe, Toronto. I think it's Toronto, right? Fan Expo Toronto. He is going up there, and he has paid for a dual autograph photo sesh with Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. And in honor of that, he wanted to make a proton pack just for the event. So Dave went on the journey of doing his very first fully 3D printed proton pack. And what's Fan Expo Canada? Oh, there is Toronto. Okay. The craziest thing about the whole thing is, like, a couple weeks ago, Dave was at the point where he's like, it's not going to be done in time. It's going to be a wrap. And he somehow pulled it together. So he's, in my opinion, he's in the home stretch. I'm sure, like most cosplayers, there's always more that's behind than you're willing to admit. So I hope that Dave's in the home stretch. It looks great. He's made a lot of changes on the fly. It is amazing. Like, I tip my hat to you. And that, to me, that's the biggest thing. Getting it mounted on to actually wear it is dope. This one's also really cool. He's working on this bar here. I don't think he announced where it's going. I thought he did somewhere, but I won't out you in case you haven't. But this is the first one. So this is the first Flux pack he did. It was an 80% Spirit pack that he modified. And then he's got the new one that he's putting out. And this was back in 2019. Oh, there you go. He has this light bar going across the shock mount there. Amazing. Amazing. So, shout out to Dave's Dimension. Tony says, I live near Toronto. Oh, there you go. You should go check it out. Rambling Nerd in the house. Sir Anthony, good to see you. He's got his own builds that is going to be starting. Let's pull that up real quick.
That's right. Wes printed me a set of Ghostbusters gear, but not only Ghostbusters gear, he printed me a set of the real Ghostbusters gear. Now, this is not going to be an assembly video by any means. There's way too much stuff here, but just taking a look at a couple things here and there. What's in here is the makings of a full-size real Ghostbuster proton pack, wand, PKE meter, goggles, and a trap, as you can see right here. Wes was kind enough to indulge me and let me...
So yeah, the Rambling Nerd is working on his own 3D print. He has an RGB pack that Wes of Great Scott Prop Shop printed for him. Tell you, man, 3D printing, it's no longer the future. It is the now. It is the now. I really want to get on it. I do. I think next year, providing the tariffs don't mess things up, I think next year will be the 3D print year. I feel like the technology is, it's almost where I want it to be. At some point, I just got to dip my toes into it. You said yours won't be ready till after New York Comic Con. That's fine. Okay. I'll have stickers to get out to people when I'm at the con. Oh, there you go. Love that. Love that. Can't wait to see the real Ghostbuster pack completed. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm pumped. I'm happy for him. I am happy for him. All right, let's go. Let's go look at some other news. Before we continue, actually, let's go back to the toy stuff for a second. And oh wow, you know, this makes me happy. This makes me happy. You may not start until after Comic-Con, is what you meant. All right, cool. Legacy and Nerd in the house. We're talking about you earlier. Good to see you. You know, a lot of people that you'll see on YouTube, I've talked about this when it comes to the TV shows and the movies. A lot of people will come out here and they'll bash something and say that nobody wants it. Nobody's going to buy it, XYZ. And I love it when they get proven wrong by it. I have speculated many times on things that I think would not do well. But I usually try my best to go based on, you know, not only just numbers, but maybe like what has been popular in the past versus, you know, something that's brand new. You know, I thought Cable would have sold out. Cable did not sell out. Maybe they ordered a lot of Cable. We don't know. One of the things that Hasbro never tells you is how many did they order for it to be sold out. They don't do that. But I watched the video today of somebody bashing the Magic the Gathering line. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't crazy about the prices of this. I knew the prices were going to be high, but I was like, I still really want this figure. And look at that. It actually sold out. It sold out. And they still haven't fixed the pictures either. They still have not fixed the pictures. That is funny. Oh, they deleted the one that was really bad. One of the photos was really bad, but you can see here, that's not a shadow. That's like a cutout from the figure. See how the hand's missing? It's awful. It's awful. But I'm happy it sold out. Hopefully there's a restock and that I can catch it on the restock. I would love to take a photo of this Spider-Man figure facing off against like the Sinister Six. Now that they're re-releasing those figures. That would be pretty sweet. That would be pretty sweet. But let's go look at the HasLab. Right now, the LAAT gunship is flying along. It is not quite at the halfway mark. We got another less than 1,000 to go. This one I'm suspect on. I am suspect on this one. I'm backing out. I'll talk about it again in a little bit. But since we talked last week, the Snowcat has made some advancements. Ever so close. Ever so close. Now, I also don't want to bash this person because I said a similar thing before, but I saw it with my eyes. So that's where I was like, oh, that's why I'm saying it. Not that somebody told me or I heard. There was one moment with the Snowcat about 2 weeks ago where the backer number went down. It was up and then it went down. And it's still kind of slowly been moving. But ever since, you know, we were, you know, hoping it would cross that 7,000 mark, it has really accelerated. And right now we're at 79.37. So as we predicted, it will back. Will it make it the whole way? That's the question. To me, that's still the question. I kind of wish I wanted it, but I don't want it bad enough. If I didn't get the Ecto one, I'm definitely not getting that. But now we have the gunship. Damn Hasbro. Honestly, I want the LAAT HasLab to fail as it needs to serve a lesson to Hasbro to never remake something as a HasLab. That is a really good point. That is a really good point. Now, there are a couple things I want to talk about when it comes to the gunship. And to Ultra Carter's point, this is what he's referring to. There's this photo online, and I was texting Kenobi earlier about this. So some of these thoughts are not my own. They are from my conversation with Kenobi. So shout out to Kenobi Of course, whenever he wants to come on the show, he knows he can just message me. But the price of the HasLab is currently in the ballpark of what the previous gunship is going for on the aftermarket. So Ultra Carter's point is a valid point. They're releasing a vehicle that they have already released in the past, and it was not a HasLab. It was actually smaller. And they have shown us this picture highlighting how this new one is so much bigger. Now, it's a very valid point what he said, but I do have to go back to what Kenobi said, which is, if you wanted a gunship, you're going to be, at this point, you're paying that kind of money anyway. Because on the aftermarket, they're going for $350, $400. So you might as well get a larger one that comes with some extras, including a flight stand that you can use at that point. So using that logic, I don't necessarily question the price per se. However, just to recap what I've said before, I think this is a super, super niche ship. So I think that's going to rule out a bunch of people. There are a lot of people who are Star Wars fans. In fact, I was talking to my neighbor about Star Wars. We were talking about how we're both super nerds when it comes to this stuff. And he has the Jedi logo on his car. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Meanwhile, I got the freaking logo on my arm. Completely forgot about it. But he's a big Star Wars fan, and he admitted that he has never watched the Clone Wars cartoons. It just wasn't his jam. There are a lot of Star Wars fans that, as much as we, as the hardcores, would encourage you to do, there are many Star Wars fans that have never watched the Clone Wars. They have no desire to. They've seen the live action movies. They've watched The Mandalorian. They've watched, maybe Skeleton Crew, and they would know this ship from Attack of the Clones. And a couple flashbacks in the recent shows. And that's about it. So, with releasing a ship like this, the Ghost was already pretty niche. I feel like this one's worse because it's not a unique one-of-one type of ship. So there's that. 2, to reiterate what I said before, I feel like this should have been a lower price point because this is something, if anything, you'd want to army build it, maybe repaint a couple versions of it. That would be fun. So pricing it at $450 does not encourage people to buy more than one. It just doesn't promote that. The new thought I had about this was using the logic of, well, this is what it costs on the aftermarket now. If anything, it would have been a nice gesture to people to say we're going to price it lower than what's aftermarket. So we completely obliterate the cost of the gunships on the aftermarket because it's dumb for you to pay $350 for one when we're charging you $300 for one that's way bigger. You know what I mean? Now, unfortunately, going back to earlier conversations, I feel like the price of this thing is tied to tariffs. I just think it is. And I think that what they probably could have done was said, all right, we're going to price it here to factor in what so far has been the worst case scenario with tariffs. And then that way, when it's time to ship, it is subject to that stuff. At least we have extra buffer to play with. Otherwise, I think this thing probably could have been in that $300 range, not $450. My opinion. Now, something I heard on Yahoo Finance, I'm going to say maybe 2 days ago, somebody brought this up, and I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. again, having to do sleazy things in order to get around this shit, right? Because again, the tariffs are a tax on you, not the other countries, despite what you heard. What some companies have been doing is, okay, the tariff is X percentage, right? Let's say my tariff is 50%. So there's certain products I may sell that if I boosted the price by 50%, you would say I'm out. There's no way I'm doing it. But maybe there's some SKUs or there's some items I sell that are so low in price that if I boost those prices by 75%, maybe even 100% because they're so low, you won't care as much. You'll kind of ignore it, right? So maybe the item that I buy goes from $2 to $4. All the extra money I'm making off of the super inflated lower cost stuff can help me offset some of the tariffs on the higher priced items. And I can still do a price hike on the higher priced items, but not as drastic of a higher price point. And I was like, that's a really good idea. Personally, it's a really good idea. Again, you're screwed no matter what. You're paying more on both ends as a consumer. And the companies are all taking note of the fact that we're still paying for stuff. So if this ever goes away, will they lower their prices? Probably not. It actually would be, for the most part, in poor business to do that, and a poor business practice to do that. Ultra Carter says, it has nothing to do with tariffs, as Hasbro's been greedy in the beginning, way before the tariffs, as they overpriced the TVC stuff since 2018 with their vehicles. There's no way to know. At this point, there's no way to know. I have used that logic and applied it to Super 7. I mentioned that way back when we first started talking about this stuff. I said Super 7 has put themselves in a box because they already, pre-Trump even being in office, Super 7 had already been pricing their figures higher than everybody else. And as time went on, we're providing you with less and less accessories, head sculpts, extras. And they were doing that so much over the years that when we reach this point, there's almost no way they can, in my opinion, overcome it. They're going to have to increase the prices again, or they proceed to do their freaking deluxe figures that come with like no accessories that they convince people to pay $40 for, you know? I don't know. Ultra Carter said the TVC ATST Walker was $80 in 2023 when it was in 2017 Black Series 1/18 was $40. Fair. That's fair. TVC speeder bike was $45, and that's greed. So don't forget that in 2017 into 18, before I even say it, I'm gonna look it up. Because it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. I mentioned this the other day. I mentioned it in passing, and maybe my fault. I didn't really like fully. I just did the Trump thing. I didn't fully, dive into this, but he raised tariffs in his first term, especially on the China tariffs. And I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I'm mentioning it again, that is probably why we saw some price hikes happening down the line from like the 2019, especially into COVID at that point. Because maybe the companies were like, all right, we'll eat this. He's throwing a little temper tantrum and it went a little too long. And then we ran to the COVID lockdown stuff and then we got screwed. So tariffs on China went up. And the problem is when Biden came in on a lot of the things, he didn't reverse. He left a lot of stuff where they were. So I think that's what was most responsible for a lot of the toy tariffs that we saw from 2020 and on. And of course, naturally, that would equate to higher tariffs on everything else. Because if it was on toys, it was obviously on other things. But, we talk about toys. They even overpriced the deluxe TVC figures for over $20 when it's not worth that price. It should have been at least 15, 17. Totally agree. I totally agree. There were other YouTubers that we used to be friends with that we talked about the TVC pricing with before. And I was like, man, these TVC prices are ridiculous. Of course, the reaction figures from Super 7 have been ridiculous for forever. Those things have been $20 since I started collecting. TVC, I saw that price increase when I started collecting. But I was like, there's no way these figures are worth that price. These things are way overpriced. And that's when I was like, oh, in hindsight, maybe some of those increases were tied to this. And that's why they went up the way they did. Maybe. I don't know. Again, I don't know. All I could do is literally show you the facts. That wasn't me farting. That was my foot. I swear. Let me see if I can make that noise again. Yeah. All I could do is show you the facts and show you events that occurred. There was a toy company. Hell, it may have been Super 7. I was listening to an interview and they mentioned that. They mentioned that they had to do a price adjustment due to the first term. It may have been Brian Flynn. Now that I think about it. I don't know. But you have to remember, especially when it comes to TVC, it is tied to a very expensive license. And that license is Star Wars. Similar to Ghostbusters, people who own it tend to charge a pretty penny for it. And if they keep raising the prices on the license, you have no choice at a certain point. You don't. And I'm not don't get me wrong, I am not a Hasbro apologist. I did say that I would not speak ill of the Ghostbuster team. I may have said I would not speak ill of the company as a whole because of how the Ghostbusters team was doing, the appearances and all that. I don't remember. You guys can fact check me if you want. I'm pretty sure I said it was just the Ghostbuster team, but as a whole, when I listen to Brian Cox do his interviews, when I see all the things that are happening at the moment, over the years, I've softened my criticism of Hasbro because I'm like, if you're just following the numbers, you're not making the worst decisions from an outsider. I don't know what's going on the inside. Couldn't tell you. I don't know anybody there. But, if you're running a business and a certain aspect of your business is doing well, you're going to lean into that. That's just natural. And the aspect of their business that's doing super well is their D&D and digital stuff. So it's a natural decision to say I'm going to lean into that. I've said it numerous times. I've talked about the earnings calls ad nauseum to most people. To me, I love it. I'll talk all day about it. I've talked about the earnings calls a whole bunch of times here on the channel. In fact, Just Incredible was making fun of people who watch toy earnings calls. This was a couple months back. I love them. And every single earnings call, I come back to you guys and I tell you what does not come up ever is the shit we collect. with the exception of Transformers comes up pretty often because they still keep equating Transformers success to Bumblebee or Transformers 1. I don't know why. They still say it's because of that. It could be. According to us, I'd say it wasn't, but it could be. And then they also, for the first time since I've been listening to earnings calls, they referenced Marvel Legends and they said that they saw a bump in Marvel Legend collecting because of the Captain America movie. That was it. One time. They don't talk about HasLabs. They don't talk about Ghostbusters. They don't talk about G.I. Joe. They don't talk about any of that other stuff. So, if you're going to have to increase costs somewhere, they've all said it. There's one market that if we increase cost, they can eat it a little bit more than the others. And that's us, the kidults, the 25 to 45. So if it keeps the freaking Monopoly Go money down or the Play-Doh money down, they're going to do it. They're going to let that survive and let us suffer. It sucks because that's what we care about, but it's just business. Oh, ice cold H2O. Sweetness. Oh, I'm going to do something in honor of Dave. There was a purchase. You probably noticed behind me. There's a table there. Oh, I also got I got a pole for the Starfleet flag, but the pole's too small, so I got to figure out how to display that. But you'll notice the table's behind me. That is the table that we used to do our unboxings on, aka the table all of this stuff used to be on. We actually got a new table. And the type of table we got, shout out to Dave's Dimension once again. Should I do the intro to the videos like this? I do like a dramatic entry. Now I'm going down lower than where I usually have it. Well, we're gonna go back up. Gonna take this here as you guys take your journey. We got ourselves a standing desk, and obviously I have to adjust the camera. 1 second. There we go. Live streaming like Dave's Dimension, aka live streaming like the DJs do on Hot 97, because they're always standing up to do their. Hang on, let me adjust the light. There we go. Yeah, I'm fancy now. Mega Dan in the house. Good to see you. So I hope all of that makes sense. I find it hard to defend corporations, right? Because corporations, they exist literally to make money. You can't, at a certain point, you can't blame them because that's literally their purpose. I will always show mercy on the people who work at a corporation because they're just doing the best they can, especially when it comes to the Hasbro teams that we see. But you also have to call it out like it is at times, and if their job is to make money and they're getting affected by outside things, operations costs, labor costs, tariffs, license costs, they're getting affected by all that stuff. At a certain point, you can't blame them for their price increases. And we remain fully in our right to not buy stuff. It is perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine. So, again, I don't want to seem like a Hasbro apologist. I think TVC is overpriced. I think Super 7 reaction figure is overpriced. But it doesn't change the fact that they may at times have to charge those kinds of costs. And heck, if TVC at $20 is helping to offset costs on a Black Series and keeping it from being $30, I'll let TVC people suffer for me. If TVC being $20 offsets shipping costs on a HasLab Ecto 1, HasLab Proton Pack, let it ride, man. Let it ride. So that's where I'm coming from. Let's do one last read of something else before we wrap. We'll do a box office recap before we end today's episode. I'm feeling very Dave's Dimension, standing up, moving while doing the show. Tony said he agrees. And Patrick said, don't worry, there's a difference between an apologist and understanding of economics, which I don't have. I'm not an economist, right? I suck at history. I suck at math. I suck at school in general. But what I do know is, well, for one, I worked for a publicly traded company that sold technology, right? So I can talk from a sales perspective. As a sales manager, I can talk from that angle, right? For years, I worked in shipping, right? Shipping product. I was on boats for a year, and then I was shoreside doing the actual, I said it the last time, I was doing actual import for two different companies. And actually, one of those companies doesn't exist anymore, so I'll say it. I was doing import for Party City, but through somebody else. So whenever you were buying coconut bras from Party City back in 2011, right? Like 2011, 2012, I was the one putting in the codes in the document submissions to customs to say the coconut bras are subject to this percentage tariff, bill us that percentage. That was literally my job. Literally my job. So all I can do is talk to these things based on my experience in those worlds. Being a shipping manager, being a sales manager in a tech company, being a assistant in a customs brokerage, and being an assistant manager in construction, to the point that I was dealing with the companies selling us equipment to use. And it's all simple math. It's all simple math in the sense of 1 + 1 is 2. And everybody needs to get their piece of the 1. And I need to get my piece of the 1 so then I can charge you 2. You get a piece, I get a piece. The government gets a piece. I bill you so that way we get our pieces. And then you're going to bill your final customer. It's as simple as it gets. It truly is. So I'm not smart by any means, but I know that in the rule of the mafia, everybody wants their piece of the pie, and the United States of America literally is just the mafia. In fact, I used to compare the United States to the Sopranos. The United States, I'm gonna go full screen on this one. If you ever want to think about how the United States operates, just watch The Sopranos. Easy. As citizens of the United States, we are Anthony Jr. and Meadow, for the most part. That's who most of us are. All we know is I don't have to worry about certain things like in Sopranos, they don't worry about bills. I don't worry about somebody invading my house or invading my country, invading my, I don't worry about that stuff. There's certain things I don't have to worry about. Tony Soprano is the U.S. government. Tony Soprano every day wakes up, feeds the ducks, goes to work, and it's up to me to decide, do I want to know what my dad does for work? Because if you do, it's some pretty fucked up shit. And if you don't, you go about business as usual. And if you think about it, if you are Tony Soprano and you're running your mafia, aka the United States, everything you get has to come from somebody else. And on its way to me, people are going to take their cuts. I'm going to get it. And then when I sell it, I'm going to get a cut of that too. Government taxes you 2 times. Government taxes you on an import, and they tax you when you buy it again. So the United States is if you want to know how the United States works, it's the freaking mafia. I'm going to tax you 2 times. I'm going to tax you when you get it, and I'm going to tax you again when you buy it. Oh, you made money on it? I'm going to tax you again. It's The Sopranos. So, again, I'm not a smart person, but I've also worked for a lot of dumb people. I've seen a lot of dumb people in really high positions where I'm like, oh, this shit is not 4D chess. It is really simple. I'm amazed anything gets done at all, to be honest, in the country. Truly. Is what it is. All right, going to box office recap before we wrap today's episode. Tony said, what party supplier did Party City buy, or was it by a party supplier? I remember working in a party store early 2000s, and it was a big controversy. I couldn't tell you where we were getting our stuff from as far as like what company. It was all coming from China. So my job was Party City was buying the stuff to sell, and they had their manufacturers in China. So what I would get is all their like manifests, right? There's 5,000 coconut bras on ship 123. It deported on this date, and it's coming in on this estimated date. It was my job to say, okay, those coconut bras are subject to this tariff at this percentage. I'm going to tell somebody else, again, everybody gets their cut. I'm going to tell this other guy, hey man, there's a ship coming in. I got 5,000 coconut bras on that ship. Here's a check to pay the government their tariff tax for that shit to come in. Here's your percentage. He goes, great. His job was to make sure all the paperwork was good. It gets a stamp, and then it can move along to Party City. That's the job. Simple. So that's where I'm gonna go full screen again. That's why I get really upset about the tariff thing in particular, because especially when it comes to my background, I went to school for this stuff. So when there are people who also went to my school for this stuff and they're like, oh no, the tariffs are good, I'm like, did you just not pay attention in class? Did you, like, we studied this. Business of shipping, freshman year. So when there are people who are, you know, I'll let the Trump supporter thing, you know, if you want to rock with a dude because you think he's cool, you know, by all means. But when it's something that, like, I know for a fact, you know how that works, and you're like, no, this is the one time that it doesn't work like that, I get kind of pissed. I get pissed. And when I tell people that used to be my job and they're like, nah, you're wrong because of what Trump said, I'm like, no, you don't understand what I'm saying. That was my job. Like, that is what I did. Literally, I was studying to take a test to be the guy who, like, I would get the paperwork and then go to the government and be like, hey, that shipping container, let that one through. Here's the paperwork. That's the test I was taking. So there's no, it's just like the toy stuff, right? Like, all of us, we sit here every Thursday, 8:15ish p.m., and we talk about how Star Wars is doing X, Y, and Z, how Super 7's doing this, Hasbro's doing that. Bro, we're like 5% of the people that, like, care enough to even look into this stuff. Most people don't even know there's a proton pack out right now. There are people in this country that will have a Ghostbusters cosplay, and 2 years from now we'll be like, hey, did you know Hasbro made proton packs? They have no clue. It just is what it is. And when it comes to the tariff thing, most people don't look into it. They're like, okay, yeah, sure. And they'll go based on what the political party says or what their favorite news station will say. But the problem is that when you have people who specialize in an industry, because of the internet, great album, people will say, even though you're a professional in that industry, your experience, it's probably conflicted. It's probably compromised. It's usually the take they'll go with. It is what it is. You know, same person will go out and, you know, be, you know, Tesla, right? When Elon and Trump were friends, the same person who will buy a Tesla will tell you that, you know, electrification of cars is stupid, but I'll buy a Tesla. You know what I mean? Because that's what Trump said. But Trump's cool with Tesla, so, like, buy a Tesla. Like, that's the kind of logic you deal with. And it's not that people are dumb. It's just that people don't look into stuff. They don't look into it like that. It's just not a thing. Tony said, yeah, my friend did that at a store I worked for, and he taught me about it, how products come in when we will bring them in. Yeah. Went to school for makeup. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things, like, you, at a certain point, you know, you have two people in this world. You have somebody who looks at something and says, I want to know how that thing works. And then you have somebody who says, I don't care. I just want to make sure it works. Or I don't care. It just better work. Those are the two people you have in this Sopranos scenario. I want to know how I got it. And people who don't care how I got it, I just want to make sure I get it. And most people in society just want to know, when I get it, is going to work. I don't care how you got it. And then a small percentage are like, yeah, but how did you get it? Small minority. I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. I after working, especially in construction, after working in construction for 4 years, I'm surprised I go into any building. Because some of the people who make the decisions, it's just like, bro, whose son or daughter are you that you got that job? Because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Zero. Tariffs are a tax on you. Google it. Google it. All right, now we'll do the box office. We'll do a box office recap. But hey, you know, it goes full circle into not what you know, it's what you can prove, right? So a lot of people, you know, came out and they've been saying how Superman is like super woke and Superman's gonna do terrible and all this freaking blah blah blah. You know, look at how Superman is behind Fantastic Four, blah blah. And you look at the numbers. Superman pushing 600 mil. Pushing 600 mil. Fantastic Four pushing 400 mil. Pushing 4. Let me pull up my sheet. I updated my sheet as of, I think, yesterday. So my numbers might be slightly off, but hopefully they're close enough. So Fantastic Four, according to my numbers, is about 22 mil shy of hitting profitability. It's going to hit close enough. Superman, way over the mark. Jurassic World Rebirth, way over the mark. So that's where we're at. You know, this one, The Naked Gun, budget of 42 mil, as of yesterday was at 36 mil box office. And that is before marketing, the budget. You know, when I talk about the theaters are an antiquated technology thing. I think about movies like The Naked Gun. Last week I even talked about Together, right? A movie like Together, you know, budget 17 mil, opening weekend was just under 14 mil. You know, good for you, but like, just send it to streaming. I don't know. Cut a deal, somehow figure it out. But like being exclusively in theaters, like it's just not. The theaters now, they even said it the other day, like they're just for tentpole movies at this point. You know, a new project I started was this. First of all, let me just do 2025. Because again, I love just looking at the numbers. And what I started to do was I wanted to start seeing how many things are we getting in theaters right now that are original, a remake, or a sequel. And under sequel, it could be a sequel to a remake. And to classify as an original, it has to be, it has to be the first wide release, live action, or animated in theater release. So, for example, there was something that I put down as original that I was like questionable. Like Superman the motion picture, Superman 1978. I put that down as an original, even though you had the live action TV show back in the 50s. Because I was like, all right, this is even though he's not the first version, it's the first widely released movie release. So I put it there. Snow White, I put it as a remake because I'm pretty sure they did a live action Snow White at some other point in time. But I mean, you also have the Disney cartoon. The Disney cartoon was so big, to me, that has to count as the original. So, one of the things I'm tracking, and I've been going back and like when I'm kind of bored filling it in, is what's original, what's a remake, what's a sequel. And these days, man, if you're original, you're in a minority. You're on your way out. So, if original movies are not doing well, with few exceptions, and the only things that are doing well are remakes or sequels, and at that point, they have to be sequels or remakes to blockbusters that previously were released, then what's the point of the theaters? Like, how many of those are coming out every year that are sequels or remakes to previous blockbusters? I don't know. But looking at the numbers, Superman's doing gangbusters. Is it the number one movie of the year? No. It's always going to be a kid's movie. I was hoping Sinners would be in the top 3. Not going to happen. Number 1 is usually something out of China. Hate to break it to you. But kids' movies are usually up there. Superman right now is number 7. Thunderbolt's still holding on, number 10. Sinners is just outside the top 10. And if we go to top 25 domestically, or top domestic of 2025, Sinners is number 5, Superman's number 3, Fantastic Four is number 7, Thunderbolt's number 10. So there you go. All right, let's go back to the comments, and then we will wrap today's episode. Dada Films in the house. Just came back from the weed bank. Been listening to you the whole time now. I'm back home. How to get a big slam booze. I'll give you a boo if you want.
Boo! Boo! Rubbish! Filth! Slime! Muck! Boo! Boo! Boo!
But in reality, I can't really boo you because you just refused to chat while driving. That's safe driving. I can't knock you for that. I'm just surprised the buildings are still standing. Yeah. Patrick said, I knew Superman would do good when the people we had to move out of our seats were about 60 plus. I was glad they went out to the movies, but in their assigned seats. Yeah, that's a struggle for them. It's a struggle for them. The Jedi Canteen in the house. Good to see you. I can't speak for everything being perfect or not in Superman, but the sequel should be ordered off 600 mil for sure. Yeah, 1,000%. Actually, no, I'm not going to say 1,000% because we still had like Hobbs and Shaw do some pretty high numbers. But in this case, yes. Ultra Carter said, God, I hate Jurassic World Rebirth, as that movie is horrible, and Scarlett Johansson sucks in that film. As all she did was play Black Widow again. She has no talent other than playing Black Widow. Lilo and Stitch at 1 trillion, yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out. Do you guys remember when I said the other day, I can't believe people still watch stuff in the Fandom Menace world, like drunk C3PO or the Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, all that stuff. Remember when I said that? So they would tell you, as they do every single year, go woke, go broke. Disney's finally learning that if you go woke, you go broke. And they would refer to something like Snow White. They would refer to something like Elio, however you say it. Elio, Snow White, Lilo and Stitch, Fantastic Four, Captain America, Thunderbolts. Tron's not out yet. The sum of these numbers plus 321 million. So as far as Disney would go, as if they're looking at the numbers, this year in theaters, they are up. Yes, Snow White was a dud. Yes, Elio or whatever it was called was a dud. Lilo and Stitch, close to a trillion. Fantastic Four, probably going to hit this weekend. So, like, Disney actually had their earnings call, yesterday? They're like, shit's great. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's, like, anytime you watch these people that are like, Disney learns their lesson, Kathleen Kennedy on the ropes. I don't like the bitch. I don't. They're still making money. So what are you gonna do? Some motherfuckers want to ice skate uphill. Wesley Snipes. Hashtag Blade, never coming out. Lilo and Stitch $1 trillion almost. Disney's like, yeah, we could have had like 500 mil profit, but at this point, I'll take 300 mil. You know, fucking idiots, man. Yeah, make a deal. Yeah. They'll make a deal out of Jennifer Love Hewitt showing curves. I'm telling my divorce lawyer what I did last summer for sure. That's pretty funny. Some of the scenes in Jurassic Rebirth, like the Snickers wrapper causing the events, is unoriginal and is pulled from Final Destination. And this is supposed to be the Jurassic movie, not Final Destination. Dude, motherfuckers love dinosaurs, man. They can put out the worst freaking Jurassic Park movie, and people are going to see it. We know the mutant dino is a Rancor. Come on. Yeah. Sinners is still number one. Yep. Movie theaters are still established third spaces. Yeah. Disney tripled their investment on Star Wars, so like them or love them, Star Wars paid off even the bad stuff. Yeah. That's what made me stop watching all that content. That's what it was. And I'll end on this. I used to watch all that stuff. I used to watch, again, like I said, every day. Geeks and Gamers, The Quartering, Ripperverse, Star Wars Girl, all of them. And that's why I got mad when Star Wars Theory started platforming those people, you know. And I've debated, you know, when I see him this weekend, like do I mention that? Like, does it matter at this point? Probably not. But like, you know, all these people for years, because of their subscriber numbers, we believed that what they were saying was true. That they had insider information, that they were the ones following the numbers. Go woke, go broke. They have evidence to prove it. Not one time. Not one time. And I had people tell me, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, man, Kathleen Kennedy's gonna get fired. And they're like, I liked The Mandalorian. What are you talking about? I didn't mind Last Jedi. What are you talking about? And I'm like, what? You like Last Jedi? What? Are you crazy? You liked The Rise of Skywalker? What? Are you insane? Most people don't watch this shit. They just, Star Wars. Pay. So, All of that stuff, man. All of them. They're all liars. All liars. And Jedi Canteen is correct. Their investment, with all their misses, they are still up. And if you don't believe me, pull up their earnings reports that they publicly have to submit to the government. For all that's worth, point proven. Disney going to learn the strongest lesson ever. They're going to need a recess. All those channels shit on Star Wars because of the missteps, and people flocked to the content. I can say there's stuff I don't like, but nobody would have gotten this mud Star Wars out in the time they have. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, what is the ultimate flex will continue to be, do you own the back catalog? That is what everybody wants. And this is not my original take. I got this one from academics when it comes to music. And in my opinion, it applies to movies. The money is not in, can I make something new? The money is in, can I own the back catalog? If I put out a Star Wars movie and it is garbage, you're probably going to go home and say, I'm going to watch some good Star Wars. I just need to make sure that when you go watch good Star Wars, I make money on that. I need to make sure I get a piece of that coin. When a new Ghostbuster comes out, shout out to Jamie. When a new Ghostbuster movie comes out and that thing tanks and everybody hates on it, all I need to make sure of is that when you go home and you say, I'm going to watch the good version of Ghostbusters, I need to make sure that you're buying that from me. So I got you on the new one and I got you on the old one. That's what's important. And Disney owns all of it. So anytime there's a shit Star Wars thing that comes out, you're going to go and you're going to watch something that they own. And when you go to the Disney parks and you go to Galaxy's Edge, that's them. F. Ray, I'm going to buy a Luke Skywalker lightsaber. Still them. So there you go. Those are my economics for today. Great episode. Yeah, that's why hard copies are important. And yet I still refuse. I'm still way behind on buying hard copies. But I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys watching. Once again, we'll be at Boston Comic-Con this weekend, Fan Expo Boston. I will see Star Wars Theory there. And I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. I feel like he's... I feel like deep down, he's probably a good dude. And he found the fandom menace way later in the game. My opinion. But I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you guys listening. And stay tuned for footage. Stay tuned for footage. HeyArcher Live every Thursday, 8:15ish p.m. here on Nerd Affiliated. Usually during the week, a couple times, we have the Daily Planet dropping. But I'm going to try to be more consistent starting next week. I'm going to try. All you can do is try. But of course, make sure you follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, whether it's Nerd Affiliated, The Real Nerd Busters, or me, HeyArcher. We're also on Discord. We're also on Reddit and your favorite podcast platform. You want a review of the action cam? Man, it's good. I got a little cage for it and everything. So I can put my cold shoe mount on it. The video today I thought looked better than my cell phone footage. And potentially better than the camera footage. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to all you nerds in the next video. Peace. I'm out of here.
Huh? What? Huh? More specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Yeah, come on, push a button. Push a goddamn button.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.